Okay, we're just about ready to get started, so I'm going to hand you over to our first speaker, Carol Palombini. Thanks very much, Carol.
Welcome, and thank you, Andy, for the introduction. I'm super happy to be here. And today I'm going to start this by talking about one of the most important things when we talk about emotional intelligence. It's about your own executive positioning. So I'm going to start sharing here some slides that I prepared. Okay, so I guess you can see that now if you can't see. And while we are at this and waiting for people to join, please send in the chat where you're speaking from. I would love to hear that. So I would like to start today by talking about why smart CTOs fail in interviews. And this was a requested presentation and something that I gathered from my experiences coaching tech executives. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Carol Palombini, and my mission is to help tech executives turn career uncertainty into strategic clarity. So, today I want to help you understand how you can communicate with more efficiently. How can you be more confident in your communication, either if it's during networking events or if you are looking for a job? And how am I going to do this today? Through emotional intelligence. So, as Andy put it very well, this is a very important set of skills for any executive leader. During my roundtable at the CTO CraftCom in Berlin, I mentioned how the skills that got you here probably won't be the skills that will get you to your next level for the strategic and executive level. And emotional intelligence is the skill that will get you there. When you don't have emotional intelligence, when you're not working with this kind of set of skills, usually what I hear from clients that look for my help is they don't feel like a strategic partner. They lose confidence after each interview. So they start doubting what they're doing wrong. They start doubting themselves. They feel very uncomfortable in networking events, not sure how to introduce themselves and to make sure they're leaving the impact they wanted to leave. Also, they complain about having a confusing communication. Some of them are really aware. Of my clients are aware that their communication is not the best as it could be, but they really don't understand how to improve that. And it all comes from improving your emotional awareness and your social awareness. And often might get overlooked for opportunities despite having a strong experience because you're just not being able to convey your message in a strategic way. So, how emotional and social intelligence can shape your career success? It's always about executive positioning. I've coached dozens of tech leaders, and here's what I noticed. Some think they have a good executive positions because they get the title, the CTO title, the director title, but they are not really confident in what they can deliver. So they don't have a clear value proposition, a unique value proposition. And sometimes they do know their value, but they never articulated that in a clear and objective communication, which for learning purposes here, I will call a pitch. If when you do have a pitch, you don't have to think, you don't have to go over all the thinking process to present, to introduce yourself, to connect with people. You already know what you're going to do, so that builds a lot of confidence. So tell in the chat how satisfied you are with your communication as an executive from 0 to 10, and then later on I can check the results. But usually when I ask these questions to my clients, it's around 4 or 5. They know they can improve a lot, but they are not really sure how to do that. So as I know, tech minds love data. I brought some of the 3 very important information to help you understand the relevance of emotional intelligence, especially for strategic leaders. So emotional intelligence in a lot of research has shown to be the biggest predictor of success in any job. Emotional intelligence explains 58% of top performance. 90% of top performers are also high in emotional intelligence. And every point increase in emotional intelligence add 1,300 to an annual salary. And this is very old data. So this probably is a larger amount of money. Now, so I'm not going to go through all the emotional and social intelligence model. I'm going to just to highlight the most important ones when we're talking about executive positioning, about belonging to the C-level team and having conversations with any stakeholder in a position of confidence and trust. The first thing will always be emotional self-awareness. You have to understand what your strengths are. You have to understand what your weaknesses are to have a plan to work around that. So to potentialize, to maximize your strength, and also to go around, minimize, reduce, or even eliminate some of the gaps you have. Also, it demands a lot of emotional balance. You need to understand how nervous you get, how anxious you get with new interactions, with challenging yourself. When you have a clear value proposition, it's easier to control your anxiety, to manage your emotions. It's also super important to have a positive outlook on things. When you are presenting yourself, you don't want to be the person who brings the problems. You want to be the person who brings a vision, a clear and objective vision of how you can benefit the other person with your interaction, how you as an executive bring value to the table. But it's a lot about social awareness. It's a lot about empathizing with whom you're speaking to. It's a lot about understanding organizational awareness, the decision-making policies inside a company. And in the end, you have to put all of that together in a way to communicate with influence. And if you want to learn and go even deeper on emotional intelligence, as Andy said, we have a course on the CTO Craft campus called Emotional Intelligence for CTOs. It has already over 138 enrollments. So it would be amazing if you could take this opportunity and subscribe. So what are the biggest mistakes I've seen my clients make when they want to position themselves in networking events or when they are job seeking? Before we go into the first mistake, I would like you to reflect on something. You don't have to answer that publicly, but I would like you to answer that to yourselves. What's the first thing you read on a job description? Job descriptions are full of a lot of things. And I noticed that my clients, they usually go straight to the responsibilities. So they look at job descriptions as if they were checklists, responsibility checklists. So if they check most of the responsibilities, they do that, they say, okay, I can do this job. I can apply for this job. But that's a mistake. And why is that a mistake? Because you're reading the job like an engineer. You're not really reading the job advert as an executive. So this is a type of assessment that I do with my clients to understand how they are approaching, to assess their mindsets, understand how they are approaching the opportunities. And usually what I see is a task-oriented mindset. So this checklist thing for responsibilities, it's usually what an engineer would do, an individual contributor would do. But responsibilities, they repeat. If you get a job description, they should have the similar responsibilities for the similar size of companies. We know CTOs have a very different demands. It's the job description that I've seen, most different demands, but those demands, they change according to the size of the company and stage of that company. If they are a big company and they are already have a steady process, they will have some types of demands. But if they are scaling, they will need a different type, more hands-on a CTO, but it's not about the responsibilities. All the CTOs in scaling company will probably have to do similar things. So if it's not about the responsibility, what is it about? It's about the company challenges. You have to try to read the job description, again, other informations from the company to understand what stage they are in and what the type of challenge they are facing. You have to think now that they probably don't know how to fix most of the problems. You're being hired probably to solve that, probably to actually show them a path. So they're more interested in about your assessment on the company and your vision of solution than if you had done exactly the same thing in the past. They will have seen that before when you sent your CV. So the interview is not about showing that you actually had those responsibilities, and we will get there. So a strategic leader reads for problems to solve, not tasks to complete. So if you want to develop self-awareness and organizational awareness to understand this challenge, assess your own mindset. Try to understand if you have this task-oriented mindset in other aspects of your life, and if this is a thing that you should be working on. Once you gain a more strategic mindset, these three things, this kind of reading will be easier for you. You will be reading a job advert, you will be reading opportunities in a different way. And then you will gain organizational awareness because you will be researching about the company or the people that you want to interact with. This is another mistake that I see not only tech leaders, but mainly tech leaders making a lot, is not understanding your audience. When you are speaking, either if you are going to a networking event and you're talking to someone, but mainly when you are looking for a job, you have to understand if your real target, if your real audience is the CEO or the CTO. And why am I saying this? A lot of CTOs and tech leaders, they are willing to take a step back into a more senior managerial position to go to a bigger company, for instance. And then you will probably be interviewed. The last decision maker in the recruiting process is going to be the CTO and not the CEO, as it would be in a smaller company. Understanding who is the final decision maker is going to be essential for you to target your communication at their needs and at what's actually important for them. So if you are targeting a small company, probably the CEO will be your focus. Then you will have to understand how you as a CTO can partner with that CEO. What are the types of partnerships that you made in the past that were really efficient, that you liked working together? Some CTOs that I coach, they find it really annoying to work with CEOs that don't have a clear structured communications. But I was coaching a CTO recently who discovered that his value proposition was exactly working with the chaotic CEO, a visionary chaotic CEO, because he was good at translating that communication into technical demands, into products. So it's about understanding the good match for you and understanding if you're talking to the CEO or to the CTO. If you're going to a bigger company and you are willing to work for a CTO, under a CTO, then it's about vision alignment. The CTO, they probably have a vision for the company, but what are they lacking? Why do they need you with them? Is it because, so you need to be aligned with their vision, but showing how you're going to put that in practice, how you're going to scale or talk about your execution power. So to improve this level of empathy, I advise my clients to check their LinkedIn bios. So usually you know who the CEO or the CTO of that company is. You have the ability to go to the LinkedIn and check how they present themselves. Check if what you do is similar to what they do, if they're going to see you as a competition or not, and if they actually mention the most important keywords for you in this partnership. Some of the recent coaches I've made, when we were going to look at the CTO bio, we noticed that he hardly ever mentioned leadership in his bio. He mentioned a lot of product. He wanted, he was visionary, but he never talked about people. So he probably needs someone that can handle people. It's something that he's not passionate about, but if you are good with people, then you could probably pair with them very well. And how do you usually introduce yourself? Okay, so you went to a networking meeting or you're about to answer that first question during a job interview. So tell me a little bit more about you. How do you usually start that? What is the first thing that you say? I'm going to give you a few seconds for you to think about that. But what my clients usually do, it's another pattern that I noticed, is that they tell their story the wrong way. Usually they start about telling about how they started in their career or talking about the things that they've done in the last experience, but they never start with the most important thing, which is your value proposition. Here, my advice for you is don't rely on good interviewers. You have to own your message. Some interviewers are not that good. They're not going to be able to connect you with that opportunity. So if you are not, if you don't show them clearly how you, as a strategic leader, see how you can benefit that company, then you're going to rely on a good interviewer, and you might miss a lot of opportunities because of that. So usually I advise you to start with your unique value proposition, explaining why you for this company. And that's why we get a lot of self-awareness, a lot of organizational awareness. Then on the second part of your pitch, you're going to prove it in bottom line results. We are talking about strategic leadership here. We are talking about bottom line results. It's about revenue, cost reduction, time to market, and also about emotional relief, like stress relief. Remember that now mental health is one of the most important topics and the factors of disruption in a company. So CTOs and CEOs, they are really pressured. If you offer them stress relief by taking some of these things out of their hands, that also counts as bottom line results. And finally, after you prove it with two or three very important KPIs, then you can start talking about your experience, but starting with the most relevant and more recent experiences that proves your UVP. So in the end, you're going to give your pitch, your UVP, and then prove it with KPIs and experiences. So you see, here the experiences, they are the third most important thing in the job interview. It's important to make them see how working with you leads to a brighter future. And that's where the positive outlook comes, and how you're going to influence them. So influence here depends on empathy, depends on having organizational awareness, understanding who the decision makers are, and understanding how partnering with you might bring all these results. You have to make them confident that you can deliver. Make them understand that you are different, that you can deliver this in a specific way. I have a very interesting story about this, the selling your genius instead of your value. One of my clients, I asked him to write a cover letter for one of the opportunities he was targeting to. And again, I let my clients do them their own way, so I can assess their focus. I can assess where they are, where they have blind spots. And this client started his cover letter with, "I started coding when I was 10." So this is, and I was, oh my God, forget about this. No one cares if you started coaching when you were 10. It's this focus this value on the expert mindset that locks you in the value of on the genius value instead of the value on delivery value. So technical brilliance isn't what opens senior doors. If it would, all the conferences to senior leaders will be talking about hard skills, and it's not at all the case. Companies, they hire outcomes, okay, expertise. They hire your promise of delivery. Your expertise in the end, your experiences in the end, come to prove that you can deliver that. And your UVP is in the intersection between your strength and what the market needs. That's why emotional intelligence is so important. Because without emotional intelligence, you will not understand where your true value lies. Because it's not just about you and your experience, it's about you in the intersection of what the market needs. And it's essential that you know how to pitch your value with clarity, with confidence, and in business terms. So there is no going around this. You have to write a compelling value proposition for each situation. So if you're going to a networking event, what is the value that you want to bring to that event and you want to take from that event? If it's a job opportunity and you have an interview, what is the value that you're bringing to the table once they hire you? That clarity, that it's going to be on the tip of your tongue, you're going to be fast in delivering this, that will reduce your stress and improve clarity in your deliver and the way you actually bring value to the table. So here, concluding, what I would like you to take from this presentation: lead with value, not just brilliance. People know you're brilliant. You will have plenty of opportunities to show your brilliances when you are explaining what you did. It's just a matter of putting that into the right terms. Don't depend on good interviewers. Deliver your value. Make sure your message gets through, even if they don't make the right questions. So you have to find a way of delivering that in the first 3 minutes. Know your audience and their needs. Study the audience. When you start studying the company and who you're going to speak to, you will know what to say. You will have this vision of success. Focus on the value you can deliver, not your history, not your background. And work on developing emotional and social intelligence to improve your executive position. Because there are some things that are blind spots. And if you don't work directly on developing those skills, it's going to be harder for you to understand if that's blocking or hindering your path and your career. And always lead with your unique value proposition. Always lead with your pitch. It doesn't matter if it's a presentation, if it's a network, it's how you introduce yourself. You can have more than one for different situations or different type of companies or sizes of companies, but have it written down. And you should change this and adapt this to each job description, like your CV and like your cover letter, of course. So thank you, everyone, for this presentation. Any questions?
Okay, what do we have? Okay, we're going to start with one from Sally, actually. Sally's just added one. Hang on, let's bring it up. Great talk, thank you. Do you have an example of what a great introduction sounds like in practice?
Sure, I can show you if you go back on my mission statement. It's always about starting with a benefit. It's like, for instance, I'm talking here with Andy. So we are in a networking situation and he owns CTO Craft and I want to make a partnership with him. So that we already have, but imagine that would be in the past. So say, hi, Andy, I'm Carol Palombini, and I'm an expert on tech minds, and I really do believe that I can add a lot of value to the CTO Craft with a different perspective on tech coaching. What do you think about that? So I just made this up, okay? But it's something like that. You're going to start offering value. but I've already done my homework. I knew what CTO Craft was all about. I looked at the type of coaches they already have, and now I found a specific value I think I can add to the company.
I like that. It's almost like an elevator pitch, isn't it? If
Yes,
you're kind of trying to distill and condense what you're offering to an investor, it's the same kind of process. Yeah,
exactly.
I like that. Thanks for the question, Sally. That was good. Okay, we've got time for one more. Okay, we've got one from Miguel. How do you balance the pitch you would give if you were talking immediately to the CEO versus having to go through less holistic recruiters, including AI? That's an interesting one.
Okay, so AI would have to have a very different approach. And probably they are assessing the same things. They are assessing the benefits that you deliver if you're using strategic wording. The other day I was talking to a client and he said, he's a CTO and he was saying, I am a generalist. And I say generalist versus expert is individual contributor vocabulary. If you are strategic, you cannot be an expert. So you're using the wrong vocabulary. So I think that probably AI are picking on these things. And if you have all the elements there, if you're talking bottom line or not talking bottom line.
I like that. I like that a lot. Grand. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Carol. I think that's all we have time for.
Thank you all very much. And if you want to reach out, just is Carol Palombini at carolpalombini.com.
Lovely. Yeah, we'll put some more details in the chat, but also Carol's a Slack member, so if you'd like to chat to Carol, she'll be around on
Yes.
Slack. So yeah, thank you very much, Carol.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.